Mr. Secretary, will you please read for the first time House bills and resolutions?
House Bill 1604 by Representative Houston of the 170th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to consolidate all of the laws chartering the city of Adel. House Bill 1605 by Representative Workheiser of the 157th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to grant a new charter for the city of Claxton in the county. House Bill 1606 by Representatives Clark of the 147th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the probate court of Houston County. House Bill 1607 by Representative Bentley of the 139th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption from the Taylor County School District ad valorem. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Mr. Secretary, will you please read the caption of House Bill 997?
House Bill 997 by Representatives Watson of the 172nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to property tax exemptions as to provide a statewide exemption for all ad valorem taxes for timber equipment and timber products held by timber producers, to provide for a referendum and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstadler of the 52nd District, Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the good senator from the 20th to present House Bill 997.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm proud to tell you, if you don't already know, that Georgia is the #1 state in the nation for forestry. We have the most private timberland in the country. It's a huge economic impact in Georgia. We also, agriculture, as you've heard us say multiple times, is our #1 industry in Georgia, and currently farm equipment, tractors, cotton pickers, planters, all of that is currently exempt from ad valorem tax. This measure simply includes equipment for timber harvesting in the ad valorem tax exemption. It is a ballot question, so it'll be up to the voters of Georgia if they want to allow this. The bill's long overdue to bring equity and relief to our forestry community. Foresters or timber harvesters are seeing, of course, sky-high prices for diesel fuel. They're also challenged with hiring truck drivers for the log trucks. And this measure would go a long way in helping them survive and stay viable and be able to hopefully maybe pay a little bit more for their truck drivers. The bill's simple. It brings parity to our timber producers using harvesting and reforestation equipment, and I urge your support of this measure. It was passed unanimously in the House, and I hope we can pass it unanimously here. Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions. If there are none, I will yield the well.
For what purpose does the senator from the 13th rise?
Mr. President, appropriate time, will you please excuse the senator, 14th District, outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 14th is excused. Chair recognizes the majority whip for a question to your left.
Will the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that it's bad to be the first bill up after lunch?
Well, the crowd's trickling in. It can be good, it can be bad. You never know. I hope this is good.
Isn't it further true we need 2/3 of the body to vote for this to pass?
That is correct, yes, sir. This is a ballot referendum question.
Isn't it further true that if senators are still in their offices having lunch, they should hurry to get back down here?
The whip knows of what he speaks.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 4th to your left with a question.
Mr. Chairman, you yield?
Yes, sir.
Would you agree that the Georgia Department of Agriculture treats timber sales as part of their gate receipts, just like they do peanuts, cotton, poultry, so forth, so on.
I agree. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th with a question.
Does the chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, is it not true that the United States of America is the #1 country for timber production in the world?
That's my understanding, Senator.
Mr. Chairman, further yield?
Absolutely.
Is it not true that the state of Georgia is the #1 timber producing state in the United States of America?
Yes, sir.
And is it also not true that thousands of jobs are created here in our state through timber production that is transported out of our state and sold throughout the United States and around the world for the materials needed for humanity to have proper places to live and work?
I appreciate the question. You're absolutely right, Senator. The forestry industry is very, very important to our economy and to the country's economy.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Do you continue to yield?
If you think I need more time.
Chair recognizes the senator from the... We got a bunch of questions. Chair recognizes the senator from the 18th with a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator,
My
I want to
good
thank you
friend
for
from
the
Middle Georgia.
and thank you for that. And Senator, I want to commend you for bringing this bill. I think it's a great measure. And I would ask, isn't it true that notwithstanding, or in addition to the great contributions that the timber industry makes in our state, that operationally they have really had a tough time in the last few years with regard to labor shortages?
Yes, sir. It's been a real challenge.
Is it not also true that they have seen skyrocketing costs with regard to insurance coverage and costs like that?
Yes, sir. I think a log truck insurance premium is probably about $13,000 a year per truck.
And Senator, isn't it true that those numbers have gone up a lot or significantly in the last 24 months alone?
Absolutely. And our demand for forest products has gone up with the use of cardboard and paper. And, of course, we all remember the shortage of toilet paper we had not too long ago.
And Senator, I think as was alluded to earlier, for this measure to pass, we need 2/3 yes votes in this chamber. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, and I think that is 38 votes.
You beat me to the punch. I was going to ask what that number is to make sure our folks are here to vote for this, and I would support everyone in this chamber to vote yes on your bill. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. And one other point I want to make is foresters are some of the best stewards of our natural resources and our environment. As you all know, trees are great for the environment too. So as we have concerns with carbon and that kind of thing, we want to preserve our forest lands.
Looks like you're getting closer. We're going to make one more question here, unless you want to continue to yield. This one should soak up the balance of the time. The chair recognizes the senator from the 8th with a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
Yes, sir.
Senator, is it true that a lot of this equipment that is used for forestry is also used for agriculture? The exact same equipment is used for dual purposes?
That's right, and I failed to mention this equipment is not used on the road. I mean, they're having to truck the equipment into the property and truck it out on a lowboy trailer, so it's not equipment that you're going to see on our roadways.
Does the senator further yield?
Yes, sir.
So, Senator, is it not true also when you look at the forestry industry, and we know that it creates 140,000 jobs in the state of Georgia, and we're the nation's #1 forestry state, is it not also true that Georgia, every state that touches Georgia, those loggers are able to haul more heavier loads on the roads than what we allow here in Georgia?
Yes, sir. I think you're correct.
So could it not be said then, Senator, that this is a measure, this body has tried a lot of times to help our loggers in the timber industry in that regard, and we failed, but this is one way that we can help the timber industry in such a manner where we fail in another regard, we can help hopefully make them competitive to neighboring states.
That's a good point, Senator. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Chair recognizes
All right.
the pro tem to your left.
Mr. President, I hate to impose on the senator from the 8th time. Can we move to the previous question?
Does the senator continue to
yield
yield?
the well.
He
I'd
yields
ask
the
for your
well.
favorable consideration. Thank you.
That motion is not accepted at this time. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 997? For what purpose does the senator from the 37th rise?
I was going to question presenter of the bill if there's any material difference in timber harvesting equipment and grading equipment.
I'm sure the gentleman will make himself available over here. Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 997? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. For what purpose does the senator from the 36th rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true, Mr. President, that the timber industry and those who are growing a stand of timber in Georgia encompasses many, many income levels, both large, medium, and small landowners? Is that not the case?
I'm certain the senator knows of what she speaks. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50. The nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. He's working hard all the way through the finish line. As a point of reference, the minority leader's button is now working.
Okay.
For what purpose does the minority leader rise?
Thank you, Mr. President, but my parliamentary procedure was for House Bill 997.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 332.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
Senate Bill 332, a bill by Senators Albers of the 56th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the OCGA relating to selling and other trade practices so as to provide for certain disclosures by third-party high-volume sellers of consumer products on online marketplaces, to provide for definitions, to require online marketplaces to provide certain notifications and a consumer reporting mechanism, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the committee on the House Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Representative Ellie. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 332, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the OCGA relating to selling and other trade practices so as to provide for certain disclosures by third-party high-volume sellers of consumer products on and online marketplaces and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow senators, we passed Senate Bill 332, the Informed Consumers Act, in order to combat organized retail crime. Earlier in the session, there are two minor tweaks that changed in this bill in the House. They included defining unhindered, as well as assuring under the Attorney General clause that we added it to public and not private, to conform with the Fair Business Practice Act. If there are no questions, I would yield the well and ask for your favorable consideration.
You have no questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 56th has moved that the Senate agrees to the House substitute to Senate Bill 332. All those in favor of the motion vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 332. Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd for motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we agree with the House version of Senate Bill 87.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
Senate Bill 87, a bill by Senators Wright of the 33rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to tax returns and furnishing of information, so as to authorize Georgia taxpayers to make certain voluntary contributions through the income tax payment and refund process to aid and assist service-disabled veterans and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and the rest of y'all. I know usually when I come up here, I kind of have a little levity, but today I'm serious today. And first of all, I want to ask anybody if there's a veteran here to come up here and stand with me on this bill. Okay. Veterans. All veterans, please come up and stand with me on this bill here. Today we are honoring one of our very own, the late Senator Jack Hill, Senate Bill 87. This bill passed this body unanimously. Everybody voted for it. It went to the House and made it through the House Ways and Means Committee unanimously, where everybody voted for it. And in the House, it passed 169-0. Basically what it does is on your state income tax refund, you can donate money, a dollar or more, to support disabled veterans at the Georgia Technical Colleges. Very simple bill. And, excuse me, I'm a little choked up here. But I want everybody here to support this bill in honor of our late Senator Jack Hill. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak to Senate Bill 87? The chair sees none. Senator from the 33rd has moved that this Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 87. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 87. We will never run out of saying great things about the former Senator Jack Hill in this chamber. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st for a motion.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House amendment to the House version of Senate Bill 226.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 226, a bill by Senators Innovatarte of the 31st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to sale or distribution of harmful materials to minors so as to provide that the provisions of Code Section 16-12-103 shall be applicable to libraries operated by schools and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offered the following substitute to Senate Bill 226, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 15 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to miscellaneous provisions of the QBEA and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 226 basically is a bill we debated last session related to materials that are harmful to minors. The change is basically different from the last version that we passed out of the Senate. Basically includes an upgraded complaint resolution process, and also that the title of the material in question that's appealed through the local school district be posted on a website for 15 days by the local school district. If there's no questions, I'll yield the will.
You don't appear to have any questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. Senator from the 31st has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 226. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 29, the nays are 21, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 226. Chair recognizes the senator from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 566.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 566, a bill by Senators Burke of the 11th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 33 of the OCGA relating to insurance, so as to clarify that under the Surprise Billing Consumer Protection Act, a medical or traumatic condition, sickness, or injury includes a mental health condition or substance use disorder, and that emergency medical services include post-stabilization services and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 566, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 33 of the OCGA relating to insurance, so as to clarify that under the Surprise Billing Consumer Protection Act, a medical or traumatic condition, sickness, or injury includes a mental health condition or substance use disorder and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 11th to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 566 is the tweak to the surprise billing law that we passed earlier this session. The House substitute made a very minor language change in the post-stabilization language, and it remains that mental health services are now included under the Surprise Billing Act. If there are any questions, I'll yield to them. Otherwise, I'll yield the well.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. Senator from the 11th has moved that the Senate agrees to the House substitute to Senate Bill 566. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 53, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 566. What purpose does the Chair recognizes the senator from the 17th. I know what purpose you're rising.
Mr. President, I move the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 565.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
Senate Bill 565, a bill by Senator Strickland of the 17th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10 of Title 17 of the OCGA relating to procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment, so as to provide that at any time after conviction for a misdemeanor or felony offense, a defendant convicted of an offense and sentenced as a direct result of being a victim of trafficking for labor or sexual servitude may petition the sentencing court to grant the relief of vacator and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 565. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 17 of the OCGA relating to criminal procedure so as to provide that at any time after conviction for a misdemeanor or felony offense, a defendant convicted of an offense and sentenced as a direct result of being a victim of trafficking for labor and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 17th to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, Senate Bill 565 was the bill that we passed that it's extended the time period where someone could go and file for a vacature when they're the victim, when the crime they committed was done as a direct result of being a victim of human trafficking. The House worked with us on the second section of this, which is how we get the funds reimbursed for the fines and fees that were paid, and we came up working with CJCC with a better path where these funds come from, the Georgia Crime Victims Emergency Fund, and that's all that second section now does, versus having the victim chase down where the money's coming from. I ask for favorable consideration and happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. Senator from the 17th has moved that the Senate agrees to the House substitute to Senate Bill 565. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 565. Chair recognizes the pro tem for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House amendment to substitute 588.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 588, a bill by Senators Miller of the 49th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to local boards of education, so as to provide that all meetings of local boards of education shall be open to the public except as otherwise provided by law and for the purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 588, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to local boards of education, so as to provide that meetings of local boards of education shall be open to the public except as otherwise provided by law, to provide public notice of public meetings of local boards of education and for the purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the pro tem to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll bring to you the substitute for 588. This bill was changed slightly in the House. You have voted on it once and approved it in this body. The bill requires that local boards of education have a public comment period. It strengthens the public's access to the boards of education, and it better informs the public about what's going on in the meetings and what takes place and the conduct that is expected by the members. It also allows those who feel they have their access to public meeting have been infringed upon to seek redress. If there's no questions, I'll yield the will.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The pro tem has moved that this Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 588. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the Senate has agreed to the House. The yeas are 30, the nays are 19, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 588. Mr. Secretary, will you please read the caption of House Bill 961?
House Bill 961, bill by Representatives Istration of the 104th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 51-12-33 of the OCGA relating to reduction and apportionment of award or bar of recovery according to percentage of fault of parties and non-parties, so as to authorize apportionment of damages in single defendant lawsuits and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
For what purpose does the senator from the 31st rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 51st for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 51st is excused. The chair now recognizes the senator from the 18th to present House Bill 961.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good news out of the box. Last time you have to hear from me today, I hope. Hey! All right. House Bill 961 revises the joint tortfeasor statute to apply the statute to tort cases only involving a single defendant. A little bit of context. Current Georgia law, because of a Supreme Court case that's come out since we all convened here a year ago, it allows that in cases brought against more than one person that the trier of fact of the jury in a civil action to apportion damages among the persons who are liable according to the percentage of fault of each of those persons. This bill allows for apportionment of damages in cases brought against a single person as well as a case brought against multiple defendants. As I said, the Supreme Court of Georgia held recently that the current joint tortfeasor statute, by its plain language as they interpreted the statute that's been on the books for many years, does not apply to cases unless the action is brought against more than one defendant. As such, in single defendant cases, the trier of fact is not allowed in those cases under the Supreme Court's interpretation to reduce damages based on the liability of non-parties to the action that's brought, to the particular civil action. Basically, this bill restores the law to the way that apportionment was understood and treated for many, many years, and corrects, or if you will, resets things as they were before the Supreme Court ruling in the last 12 months. A lot of work has gone into this. I want to commend all those that did participate. A lot of cooperation from various stakeholders, quite frankly, from the Georgia Chamber to the GTLA and a lot of folks in between. In fact, if you'll look on your desk, you'll see not only a letter from the Chamber, but you'll see a letter dated March 30th of 22 addressed to us members of the Senate with, I think, over 50 different stakeholders and interested folks and businesses that all have come together to say this is a good action and the way to fix this problem and move the statute going forward. And with that, Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions or yield the well.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you. I urge your support for this, and I'll yield the well. Thank you.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 961? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing with the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption of House Bill 884.
House Bill 884, a bill by Representatives Belton of the 112th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to general provisions of professions and businesses, so as to change certain provisions relating to expedited license by endorsement for military spouses and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Veterans and Military Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd District Chairman. Mr. President, Senators Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others offer the following amendment number 1 to amend House Bill 884 by on line 34, change 30 to 90. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd to speak to the measure and amendment number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill provides simply that an expedited license must be provided to the spouse of a military service member within 30 days of the receipt of an application and all required information and documents. And essentially, the person has to meet all of our Georgia requirements in order for this to take place. I do have an amendment to change 30 days on line 34 to 90 days because, as it turns out, on further discussion, a lot of these boards don't meet every 30 days. Some of them meet every quarter, some of them more frequently. So I would ask for your support of the amendment and the bill. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
Yes, sir, from my friend from the 33rd.
Isn't it true in lines 27 through 33 that the applicants have to meet the same requirements that we have in Georgia?
Senator, thank you for the question. That is exactly right. You'll see on line 28 where it basically says that the training, experience, and testing are substantially similar in qualifications and scope to the requirements under this state. Thank you.
You have no more questions.
Thank you. I yield well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 884 or amendment number 1? The chair sees none. All right, we'll take up amendment number 1 first. Is there objection to adoption of amendment number 1? The chair hears none, and amendment number 1 is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. For what purpose does the senator from the 31st rise?
Mr. President, at the appropriate time, I'll ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 29th.
That'll be after this vote. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended. Did you want to excuse yourself, or did you want to? Senator from the 31st has asked unanimous consent that the senator from the 29th be excused. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the senator from the 29th is excused. For what purpose does the senator from the 47th rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was curious if I could excuse the senator from the 31st.
He looks to be here and present.
Yeah, but he's not pushing the button.
Ms. Secretary, will you please read the caption of House Bill 934?
House Bill 934, a bill by Representatives Leverett of the 33rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 5A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to Special District Mass Transportation Sales and Use Tax, so to provide for the maximum amount and time frame for the collection of such tax when an intergovernmental agreement and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Hofstetler of the 52nd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Finance Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 934. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 5A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to Special District Mass Transportation Sales and Use Tax so as to provide for the maximum amount and time frame for the collection of such tax when an intergovernmental agreement has been entered into between a county and municipality and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
I bet the senator from the 31st votes on this one. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st to present House Bill 934.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's glad to be present today. So this bill is a little bit familiar. It's not the exact same bill, but on the same theme related to T-SPLOS only. This legislation will allow the T-SPLOS to be collected for the full amount of time, which is 5 years, as opposed to ending the estimated amount which is collected. In order to collect the max amount of time, an IGA or intergovernmental agreement would have to be in place between the county and cities, and all proceeds be present according to the IGA for transportation purposes. This bill will not be retroactive. It would only apply to T-SPLOS referendums once they are enacted. Mr. President, I will yield for questions if there are any.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yield the well.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 934? Chair sees none. The senator from the 28th will show you how your machine works. The question's on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46, the nays are 4. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. All right, the Senate is going to stand at ease for about 30 minutes. We're going to stand at ease for 30 minutes. See which one of y'all. Stand at ease for 30 minutes.